At the beginning of the story, we see a scientist named Martins who has now reached a small town in Australia with two other members of her team, Major Robert and Trini. He had received news that a very dangerous type of fungus had been seen in this area. It is said that years ago a part of a broken NASA satellite had crashed here. Perhaps this fungus has emerged from that. After this, all three wore hazmat suits, turned on their body cameras and started searching the entire area. When the group checked the entire area, there were 14 houses and 12 vehicles, but they did not find a single person. Then finally they found that tank. Martin noticed that local people had tried to clean it by making a liquid from potatoes and soap. Martis then examined the tank carefully with a magnifying glass. After some investigation, he realized that the potato mixture had leaked into the tank, and that was what had promoted the fungus. With just a little water, that fungus could grow very rapidly. There, Martis also saw a green mark. He told Robert to hold it so I could take a closer look. Upon closer inspection, he said the green fungus had grown and mutated. Then suddenly the fungus started moving and pounced towards them. This frightened Martis and she immediately retreated. Then at that moment the trainee announced that he had found a dead body. Martins immediately went to her but did not realize that a little fungus had remained on her shoe. The fungus slowly started destroying the soles of the shoes and entering the hat suit. Well, they found a dead body on the roof whose entire chest was badly torn. Also his skull plates had broken and separated. Then Robert looked around and found that almost all the local people of the city were lying dead on the roofs of their houses, and everyone's injuries were exactly the same. Martins then theorized that fungus had forced them all to climb onto the roof and made them wait there until their bodies exploded. In this way the fungus can easily spread further. Then suddenly the head of that dead man burst and the fungus inside it started appearing outside. Martis then went back to the tank to collect samples. He said that some fungus might have entered the tank shell during re-entry, which meant that a new species had been born. Then as soon as the sample was found, the group started leaving from there. But during this time the fungus had entered Martis's body. He suddenly felt very hot. Soon he started feeling dizzy and even walking became difficult for him. Then suddenly Martis vomited green fungus inside his helmet. After this, the fungus slowly took control of her mind and now she was speaking only one word again and again. Spread, spread. Then Martinus quickly ran towards the car. Seeing this, Trini immediately took out her gun. But as Martins drove towards her, Robert pushed Trini. The car hit Robert directly, injuring his back badly. Now he was not even able to move. Martis then tried to take Trini's gun. Trini was trying her best to stop him, but couldn't. Eventually, the gun landed in Martinus' hands. But at that very moment Martis regained consciousness for a moment and now he understood what he had done. At that very moment he made a big decision. Martis removed the air tube from his hazmat suit and shot a gun into its hole, sacrificing himself to stop the fungus from spreading further. A few hours later, we see the army arrive in the town to collect some samples of the fungus, and as soon as they leave, the entire town is blown up. The sample was then taken to a high-security facility in the US where it was kept in cold storage. In this way many years passed and gradually this fungus was also forgotten. Now the year 2026 has arrived. Now that place had become a storage company. One morning we see a man named Travis come into work only to be harassed by his manager, Griffin. Griffin wanted Travis to help him because he was planning to rob the building. But Travis flatly refused. Griffin threatens him and Travis is finally forced to concede only to be led in by the gang. Then that evening Mary went to check out her storage unit. Travis was there at the time and tried to talk to Mary a little. But Mary was still in a hurry. Then, as Travis walked her to the elevator, she heard a beeping sound. But he thought that maybe there might be some small technical problem. Meanwhile, inside her storage unit, Mary pulled a gun from her boot. Then she looked at a photo of her deceased husband and quietly wished him a happy anniversary. She wanted to do something wrong but could not muster the courage. Then suddenly Travis heard that beeping sound again. This time she called her new coworker, Naomi, over the radio. Soon Naomi came into the lobby but she didn't hear any sound. Then both of them started talking to each other and Naomi's eyes fell on Travis's tattoo. Just then, Naomi received a call on her phone. He argued with someone for a while and then disconnected the phone. But then Naomi heard that beeping sound too. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, Robert suddenly received a call from the government. He first told his wife that everything was fine. Then he opened a safe and took out his old satellite phone and called his old base. There Abigail told him that they had received an alert about a temperature error. Robert became very angry after hearing this. He said that this fungus is being taken lightly. I have seen his strength. He is very dangerous. Here at the facility, Travis and Naomi knew the beeping sound was coming from behind the wall. Meanwhile, Naomi got a call again. This time she ignored the call and said that it was a call from the father of her children. Then he said that we should not break the wall to see where the sound is coming from. But Travis flatly refuses because he's not going to lose his job over all this. Meanwhile, Naomi, seeing Travis's tattoo, figured out that he probably came from jail. She kept pleading with him to let her see it until Travis finally agreed. Finally Travis brought the tools and cut a hole in the wall. Behind that hole, a secret room was found in which a large computer system was installed. Then Travis went in and looked at it, but Naomi immediately realized it was the control panel for temperature monitoring. Then when they broke another part of the wall, Naomi also came into the room with Travis. Travis said the building was previously used by the military. There was a map on the wall and Naomi immediately took a photo of it. When she noticed that there were more levels below, she wanted to see what was there. But Travis absolutely refused, but Naomi started persuading him again. Finally, Travis said angrily that he had listened to people too much and that had landed him in jail. Upon hearing this, Naomi immediately apologized for her stubbornness. But then Travis realized that if I don't go, this girl will leave without me. That's why he finally agreed to go with him. Then when both of them went down the elevator, following the map, they found a door inside a cupboard. That door already seemed closed. Travis kicked the door hard and it opened. Another secret room was found inside. As soon as he went inside, the alarm went off for a second. Well, then both of them looked around and found old equipment from the 70s lying there, which also had helmet suits inside. At the end of the corridor, they found the entrance to a staircase leading down. When he looked inside, he found that it was going down about 500 feet. That's why Naomi asked Travis to come down first. Finally reaching the bottom, both of them found a door on which was written DTR access only. Although he did not know what DTR was, but still he opened the door. There was a sealed chamber inside and a large pipe with ice-cold water flowing through it. There were some rats lying in a corner, covered with fungus. They were finding it difficult to move because their tails had become entangled and knotted. Some rats even started eating each other. Then suddenly a rat pounced on Travis and Travis immediately retreated. Meanwhile, Naomi looked inside through the glass of the chamber door and saw that a strange fungus had spread on every wall. There was a little fungus on the door as well. But just as Naomi was about to touch him, Travis stopped her. Then Naomi said that the door felt hot. Hearing this, both of them decided that it would be better to leave from here now. Outside, Mike was parking his car and angrily slammed his hand on the steering wheel. He then stared at his gun and called Naomi, revealing that he was the father of her children. But Naomi didn't pick up the call, so Mike left a voicemail, where he was shouting why Naomi was not picking up his calls. He told me that I am in great trouble. Then suddenly a sound started coming from the trunk of his car. He went to check and was horrified to see the trunk door shaking. As soon as he opened the trunk, he found out that the cat which he thought was dead was actually alive. Mike said sorry for shooting at him. But then the cat turned around and showed that half of its face was missing due to fungus. Now the cat jumped out of the trunk and started vomiting fungus on the ground. Then she climbed onto the roof of the car and walked up to the antenna, where the antenna ripped his head apart. At that very moment his entire body burst apart and his dirty blood fell on Mike and some deer standing nearby. Now the fungus was quickly moving towards Mike's brain, causing him to suddenly collapse and vomit for several minutes. Then the fungus took over his mind and ordered him to find more people. Now Mike knew he had to find Naomi. Picking up the gun, he went inside the building and a wounded deer also started following him. Meanwhile, DTR was watching the video of Robert Martis' death inside the plane. Then he got a call from Wesley, who had become the new leader of their division. Wesley thought Robert might be overthinking a closed case and that it might just be a broken circuit. There was a small debate between the two on this. Then the call got disconnected and after some time Abigail called. He told me that he had read the Australian report and it was in favor of Robert. Robert gave him a message for training which mentioned item intake. Then Wesley saw Abigail talking on a personal phone. So Abigail immediately made up an excuse that she was talking to her boyfriend about her pregnancy so that Wesley wouldn't disturb her. Here at the facility, Travis and Naomi search DTR on the internet and find out it stands for Defense Threat Reduction Agency. Then as he came out of the cupboard he was surprised to see a deer going into the elevator. Travis couldn't understand how this was possible and then we were shown a flashback. In fact, this fungus had escaped from its containment years ago. He came out through a hole in the door. Then a cockroach ate this fungus and it also got infected. Then a rat tried to catch it and the fungus stuck to its nose. The cockroach came out from there through the vents and reached the road, where he was crushed by Mike's car. From there, the fungus climbed up through the tires and got inside the trunk. In this way the dead cat came back to life. Now in the present, we see Travis and Naomi running towards the lobby. But there he saw the deer coming out of the elevator. As soon as the deer saw them, he ran straight towards them. Then Naomi pulled Travis aside at the last moment and at that very moment the deer's body suddenly exploded. Due to this his horns flew and got stuck in the wall. Then Mike also came out of the elevator and shouted that he had shot his parents' cat. But somehow she came back to life. Now he pulled out a gun and yelled at them to open their mouths because he wanted to vomit in their mouths. Travis and Naomi immediately fled upon seeing this, and Mike opened fire. Mary woke up to the sound of gunfire. Meanwhile, Mike was following them. That's why both of them hid in a storage unit. But the problem was that the door was jammed and was not closing properly. Just then Mike passed through the corridor but he did not see them. Then suddenly a flashlight fell from them. But Travis pulled him in at the last moment, and Mike ignored them and moved on. Then both of them breathed a sigh of relief, but as Travis stepped back he accidentally dropped some things which made more noise. Then after some time Mike came back and tried to catch them by putting his hand inside. At that moment, Travis and Naomi together pushed the door hard and finally closed it. At that very moment Mike had to pull out his hand, his fingers broken and bleeding. Then Naomi started searching for help numbers on the internet. Meanwhile, at the airport, Robert's trainee came to pick him up and told him that we had to get item 7 before going to the storage unit. Just then, Abigail called and said a civilian from the facility was on the line. Then he connected both the calls and now Naomi directly told the whole situation to Robert while Mike was banging on the door outside. After hearing everything, Robert understood that the fungus was spreading in a new way. He promised Naomi that he would be there soon and then gave her some important orders. He clearly said that do not touch the fungus under any circumstances. Everyone stay hidden, and don't talk about this to anyone except Robert or Abigail. Well, as soon as Robert hung up the phone, Trini said that perhaps these two would not survive. Here Travis and Naomi were talking about whether this fungus infection could be considered a zombie. But then suddenly a voice came from outside. It turned out that Griffin had come with his gang to rob the storage. As soon as he came in he saw the torn body of Barasinghe in the lobby. Griffin immediately picked up the radio and began threatening Travis. "You bastard, you have completely ruined my business." After this they entered a unit to steal a TV. Meanwhile, Robert and the trainee crossed a fence and entered a house where they opened a box and took out item 7. But while returning, the owner of the house stopped them and he had a weapon in his hand. But he turned out to be the trainee's son. The trainee explained to him that it's okay son, you should sleep peacefully. I have to get some stuff and then we will leave. Then coming out, Robert scolded the trainee that it is wrong to keep such a dangerous thing in the house. But the trainee didn't seem bothered and hugged Robert. Then she said that you should go ahead alone because now she is not as fast as before. Even if she comes along, she will create an obstacle in the way. While driving there, Robert talked to Abigail and said that if it rains, this fungus will spread very fast. Then it may not be possible to stop it. Now he asked for satellite access because the fungal bodies appeared excessively hot on radar. But for this, Abigail had to talk to some special people. Meanwhile, at the facility, Travis wanted to leave, but Naomi told him not to, as there was more danger outside. There was an argument between the two on this matter and Travis won, so now both of them came out of the unit. Then, while hiding in the corridors, they noticed that Mike's body had deteriorated further. A little while later, Mike caught some thieves in a unit and infected them by throwing fungal vomit in their faces. Then he closed the door so that the fungus could take over them. He then spotted Travis and Naomi and started chasing them. Then, just as he was about to reach them, Mary shot him in the head, and his body exploded in the corridor. Now Mary was about to go into the elevator, but Travis heard Griffin's voice so he took her towards the stairs. On the way there, Mary gave her gun to Travis. Meanwhile, Griffin and Friedman went out to find Travis, and that's where Travis threw the gun. The thieves outside were tired of waiting, so he left with a few TVs for today. Travis then confronted Griffin and told him to stay away from Mike's body. At the same time, the infected thieves inside the locked unit were losing their temper and started banging on the door. Then Travis tried to explain that he was very seriously ill, but Griffin still insisted on opening the door. But when Griffin tried to threaten Travis, he slipped in the blood and accidentally discharged the gun, hitting Travis in the hand. Now the injured Travis was slowly making his way to the unit. But instead of opening the door, he closed it. Before Griffin could do anything, Naomi threw a fire extinguisher at him. This filled the entire corridor with fog, and Travis and Naomi took advantage of this opportunity to escape from there. Meanwhile, Friedman was now fed up with Griffin. So he took a gun and went to fight him. But Griffin punched him as soon as he saw him. Griffin then told the thieves inside the unit that you have the key. Throw it out. Hearing this, he lifted the door a little and gave out the key. But as soon as Griffin opened the door, he was left breathless by the condition of the people inside. Friedman retreated in fear, but suddenly he slipped on the blood and fell, and now the fungus had reached him, due to which he also got infected. Meanwhile, inside the unit, a thief said that he was not feeling well, and the next moment his body was torn to pieces. When Travis and Naomi came out of the building, they met Robert. Abel then confirmed that both were not infected yet. Robert then gave them guns and hazmat suits and told them to go back inside and set off Item 7, which was actually a bomb. Hearing this, Travis panics because he doesn't want to kill people. But Robert explained that this explosion would happen underground and this was the only way to save the world. Robert himself was going to stay in the parking lot so that if any infected person came out, he could deal with him. After this, both of them wore helmet suits, picked up the bomb and went inside. Robert started slashing the tires of all the cars in the parking lot so that no one could escape. Then Abigail reported that a warm body was coming towards her, and immediately after that Friedman appeared behind her. Robert wasted no time and shot him. But due to this sudden turn, his waist got sprained and he fell down. Robert shot at the remaining bikes as Friedman exploded from the blast, due to which a small fire broke out there. Meanwhile, on the stairs, Griffin was trying to control his infected friends with a gun when he heard a blast. Then one of them ran back. Meanwhile, Travis and Naomi had reached the chamber and noticed that the fungus had now spread to the next room. If he reaches the pipe, the situation will become very bad. That's why it was so important to stop the fungus quickly. When he placed the bomb, he was shocked to see that Robert had already started the timer and he now had only 6 minutes to escape. Both of them immediately started running, but the countdown started glitching and the time was decreasing faster. Meanwhile, outside, Robert saw fungus coming from Friedman's body towards him. At that moment, Griffin pushed an infected towards the door, and Robert immediately shot him. He also tried to shoot Griffin, but he ran inside. Then suddenly a strange thing happened. I don't know how that infected body got up and started speaking. This frightened Griffin and he immediately fired a shot and ran away from there. But just as Griffin was about to shoot Robert, the trainee arrived and killed Griffin before he could. Here, Travis and Naomi's path is blocked by one last infected. Naomi then shoots him without thinking and the two finally exit the building. Then the trainee picked up the gun. But Robert confirmed that both of them are fine. Finally, everyone together picked up Robert, sat in the car and left from there. Then suddenly there was an explosion and the blast was so dangerous that the entire ground started cracking. At that very moment, Nami started driving at full speed and they finally escaped while avoiding the falling debris. Then after a few seconds the explosion stopped and now they were all safe. If you like the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.